Wow, we've just been elevated.
Special treatment.
Special
Okay.
treatment.
We'll start the Town of Lake Clark Shores Code Enforcement Board hearing tonight at July 24th, 6:30 PM. Emily, would you please call roll?
Chair Paul Hughes,
Present.
Vice Chair Gerard Sanchez,
Present.
Board Member Deb Moody,
Present.
Board Member Wesley Cook.
Here.
Board Member Miguel Espinosa,
Here.
Board Member Patricia Keogh,
Here.
Board Member Henry Stout.
Here.
Thank you. Would you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, I'd like to welcome our new board members, and if you would please stand and be sworn in by the town's attorney.
And as you probably already know, the Florida law requires anyone serving in an elected capacity in any form of government in the state or on any boards such as the Code Enforcement Board to take an oath of office that they will protect and defend the Constitution of the state and of the U.S. So in order for you to serve, I would ask you to raise your right hand and I will read this and you can repeat it, but insert your names if you will. I
Miguel Espinosa,
Henry Stout,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support, protect, and defend
that I will support, protect, and defend
the Constitution and government of the United States
the Constitution and the government of the United States
and of the state of Florida,
and of the state of Florida,
that I am duly qualified to hold office
that I am duly qualified to hold office
under the Constitution of the state,
under the Constitution of the state,
and that I will and faithfully perform
and that I will and faithfully perform
the duties of Code Enforcement Board member
the duty of Code Enforcement Board member
of the town of Lake Clark Shores, Florida,
of the town of Lake Clark Shores, Florida,
on which I am now about to enter, so help me God.
on
of which I'm about to now enter.
Congratulations. And you will need to sign the oath so that it goes in the minutes of the Code Enforcement Board showing that you have actually taken the oath.
Thank you. The chair would entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
I'll second it.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Is there anyone opposed? Motion carries. Next item of business is the consent agenda, which includes the approval of the minutes of the June 26th Code Enforcement Board hearing. I assume you've all had time to read those minutes, and also cases which are now in compliance. Eric, would you like to tell us if we have any cases on the agenda tonight that are in compliance now?
Absolutely, Chairman Hughes and members of the board. Starting with page 1, case 24-0055 is now in compliance, minus the fine amount that is owed. Page 2, case 23-0865 is now in full compliance as of 7/13/2024. Case number 23-0882 is still not in compliance.
Not?
Not in compliance.
Okay.
I'm sorry, you're asking for only ones that are compliant. I'm sorry about the.
Must've been the haircut.
Give me 1 second. Okay, turning to page 4, case 24-0119 is in full compliance. Case 24-0239 is in compliance. Case 24-0240 is in compliance. Turning over to page 5, Case 24-0242 is now in compliance. Let's see, and 1 second. One second. Okay, that completes the ones that are in compliance.
Okay.
Oh, wait, hold on. Going back to page 5, I'm sorry. Yes, case 24-0254. That one is in compliance.
0254?
Yeah, on page 5, 24-0254.
Okay.
5-4.
That it?
That concludes all the cases that are in compliance.
All right, the chair would entertain a motion to adopt the consent agenda as amended.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Chair would remind you that if any of you board members have any personal information regarding a case that's going to come before us tonight, if you would please disclose that at the time we discuss the case. Next item is swearing in of witnesses. If any of you are going to be speaking before the board tonight, if you would please stand and be sworn in by the town's attorney.
And just so you all know, Florida law requires that at a quasi judicial hearing, such as this code enforcement board, the testimony has to be what is called a substantially competent testimony, and that is defined as sworn testimony. So I'd ask you, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let's go to case 24-0055.
What page?
That page 1. That property is, according to Eric, now in compliance, but we, I believe we imposed a fine of $50 a day plus administrative cost commencing on April 3rd. And it came into compliance. Eric, you said,
That should be, let's see.
May 23rd is what it says.
That's correct. May 23rd,
May-
2024 is when it came into full compliance,
okay,
but it did accrue a fine.
and there is a fine existing of $2,500 plus administrative costs. Is there anybody representing that property tonight? Here? No?
I don't see any hands in the audience.
Comments from the board?
Well, from Eric, do you have any updates? Has anybody got a hold of you or other than what's here?
No, I'm not sure if they're aware. I mean, they've stayed in contact with me about all the trash because they're still doing their pickups. But in reference to this, I don't know if it didn't get back to the owner or the property manager, but no one's reached out to me in reference to tonight's board meeting.
Were they noticed?
Yes,
Come to the board.
yes,
On the building, mailed, all the usual.
yeah, yeah. It was sent out via mail.
Okay, so my experience with the town council is that if someone appeals a lien on their property, they certainly like to know if the property owner has been communicated with for sure. And we've done all those things.
Yes, correct.
I'd like to, just like the minutes to reflect that, that's all. Chair would entertain a motion.
Make a motion. I'll do it.
Mhm.
Based on testimony evidence presented in case number 24-0055, I move that a certified copy of the order to impose a lien recorded in the public records of Palm Beach County with such order to constitute a lien on the respondent's real and personal property as provided by law.
I'll second.
Motion's been moved and seconded to impose the lien plus administrative cost. Is there any further discussion? Are you ready to vote?
Yes, sir.
All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Is there anyone opposed? Motion carries. Okay. All right, let's see. All right, now, I think the next case would be 230882. Is that correct, Garrett?
Yes.
Eric?
That's correct. And we have representatives of the property here.
Okay,
Just want the board members to know that the representatives will be speaking for 1495, 1499, and 1497. So I just wanted to make the board aware.
and 1497.
Okay.
Okay, and do you have any new information to give us, Eric?
Yeah, I've spoken with Joe, who is the property representative who is here tonight. He has submitted some evidence into the case folder that he wants you all to see. I'll actually let him speak for himself, but he stayed in constant communication with me. He's been in communication with Melissa. I'm understanding that there's a hiccup with the contractor. Melissa in the building department has been trying to work with them. There's been some ongoing issues on the contractor side. Any questions you have in reference to the building, you can reference to Melissa, but the representative for the property, Joe, is here to speak before the board.
Okay, so Joe, would you like to
Yes, sir.
identify yourself?
Joseph Parkman. I'm a facilities director for those two of the properties.
Two of the properties.
Yeah. Well,
Which ones are those?
I'm representing 1497 and 1495 and 1499.
97, 99, and 95?
Yes, sir.
Okay, three. Okay, so we'll talk about 230882, 887, and 890 if there's no objections. Joe, go ahead.
I do have, I don't know if I give it to you guys or not, but this is a copy of what I have. So we, I know this is my third time here and, we've been getting extensions on everything. Just FYI, the monastery that's been approved to build over there in the last 2 weeks, they've had heavy equipment, tractors, excavators, 18-wheelers pulling in and out because they're doing their main line and their fire sprinkler line going through the park and then through our property too. So we were kind of holding off on, for them to get rid of that before we put a brand new seal coat on and all the striping. We went in contract with All American Asphalt on 6/20/24. This was, signed contract on. He's had some delays. He's did his building application. He's did some other stuff. I've been in constant contact with Melissa on trying to expedite him, like getting back to the notes and like small things like a checklist that wasn't signed. He hasn't resubmitted it. So, it's small little things like that. I can't take it because I'm not the contractor and I didn't submit it. I've reached out to him. Now he's told me that he's out of town on a fishing trip. And it's just been, one thing after another. I talked to the owner about, actually firing him. And, we've given deposits, we've paid for, fees and stuff like that. So it's really not a big deal, this small paperwork that he has to file. I just, I don't understand why he has it. And, that's what we're waiting on. He submits those two, I think there was like two papers or something.
Just one paper.
One thing, then it goes to your guys' review. I don't know how long your review is to stamp seal coat and striping, but we're ready to move. So I'm asking for, I said 30 days. I don't know how long the review is going to take. If he doesn't fill out that little, it's a checklist, just and a signature, and we're on the move. I'm going to call him tomorrow. If he doesn't fill it out, then I'm just going to fire him and I'm going to go with the company that did the one across the street with us and resubmit the whole process. But that's where we're at right now.
If that were, well, Lisa, this company, have you worked with or dealt with them in the past? Have they got a reputation or being,
Two times.
and how, I don't know if you recall how those 2 times were previously or how this,
Same thing.
same type of delay, same type of,
And excuse me,
Okay.
sorry. I went, I took a referral list. Once again, you guys know I just moved here, so I'm still finding, weeding through the good contractors and the ones that aren't so good. I went to three of the properties that he's done around here, and everything looked great. Some guys are just not good at paperwork. I'm one of them. You put me in front of a computer, I'm throwing it away. You give me a hammer and a screwdriver, I'll build you a house.
So Joe, are you willing to, if you get him to sign it, if I upload it for you, are you okay with that?
Yeah, that's fine. So it's something so minute, but at the same time, some contractors take an urgency to things and some don't, and maybe for him, it's, when I call him, I'm like, hey, George, everything good to go? Oh yeah, I already submitted everything, Joe. This stuff takes time. And I'm like, okay, so it's really, it's kind of my doing, by picking him, but at the end of the day, he's the contractor. I even asked Melissa, I said, can I open up a portal and submit everything from him? And she's like, no, the contractor has to do it. So at that point, I'm stuck behind the gun.
Now, has the Montessori school finished their?
Correct, yeah.
So you're all set to go on these.
Yeah, and it's not a small job. It's 62,000 square feet of resealing and striping, with active businesses on all 3. The other one is, a medical clinic. So they're open between like 8 and 12 and then 1 to 2. And so, there's some planning that has to go involved with it, which I picked the contractor because he's like, yeah, we're going to do this and this and this. And I was like, okay, great. But like I said, it's something so small and minute that it's holding us up. And, it's not like we don't want to do it, you guys. I mean, we put a lot of money into the building. We put a lot of money to the exterior part of it. We just, I was going to ask for 30 days. The owner's like, you better ask for 60 because if the rain happens and this and that. And I was like, well, I was like, can come see you guys every once a month, it's like part of the family now. But
welcome to Clay Clark Shores.
No, I love the city. I mean, everyone I've dealt with here is extremely knowledgeable, especially these 2 over here, Melissa and Eric. Like I said, I feel bad not having it done because I think I might have promised you guys that it would have been done, but it's not in my hands.
Melissa, if we continue with the same contractor, that miracle, he gets the paperwork done tomorrow, when would they be able to finish by the next code enforcement board meeting next month, you think? Or, because if he switch,
I'm gonna say probably 60 days is good to say.
now if he
Inside.
fires the gentleman, then what?
Then it's faster. I already have another guy lined up. That's the whole thing is like.
I like your answer.
Yeah, no, because I talked to Eric about the company that did the pizza establishment, that was a big, that's a big place too. So I already talked to him. He sent me over the estimate and he's like, look, if he doesn't fill it out, we're going to lose some money, but at the end of the day, he's ready to move. And I'm going to go ahead and open the portal up and just take his documentation that he signs and notarizes, and I'm going to put it in myself.
I would like to give the property owner a little encouragement to get this done. By the time of our next meeting, we're looking at the initial notice of over a year. And the property is in violation and has been in violation. And we've heard lots of excuses why this hasn't been done. I'm not directing it that at you personally.
It's me though, Paul, Mr. Hughes. It is me because I run it. The owner depends on me. But during this time, it hasn't really been excuses because we've done remodeling on the interior of the buildings. We've done a lot of stuff. We've pulled permits for that. We've dealt with the Montessori and their equipment. So it's not like it was like, hey, you guys get the seal code done. And we're like, okay, boom, let's get it done. It hasn't been that way at all. You guys got us in a moment where we're redoing, 20,000 square feet of commercial interior, so it's not like the owner doesn't want to do it. I get a phone call from him every single day and it really falls on me. So it's my fault, but at the end of the day, I was going to blame that man over there, not for writing the violation at the time he did. No, I'm just kidding, Eric. But he did. That the getting the seal coat done was right when we were starting our remodel. Getting just materials and different things, and then stuff like that. Repairing of the asphalt. So I'm asking you guys for 30 days. I don't see. I mean, I think 60 would be more of a, like, okay, if it's not done in 60s, then you guys ring me,
Is it reasonable to think it could be done in 30 days?
here's the thing. It could be done in 30 days if we get the permit within a week.
And you don't end up with any kind
No,
of
we don't.
weather.
I'm going to pray to God that that it doesn't rain. And if I have to, I'll shut everybody down for a day.
30
we get
days
it
is
done.
pushing it.
I know 30 days is pushing it, but I've been here 3 times now, and I can see Mr. Hughes is like, hey.
Also,
get it
members
done.
of the board, for all the other work that he has had done, they have pulled the permits. So although this particular violation's been ongoing, all the interior work they have been doing, they have pulled all the permits for it. They haven't passed their final inspection for those yet. I just confirmed it with Melissa, but it's not like they were doing constant work without permits. So
We just, like I said, if this guy would have done everything on the 20th, like he said, we would have been done, but at the end of the day, I mean, I know I'm responsible, but if you guys can give me 60 days and we get it done at the permit, hopefully we get it within a week, we'll have it done scheduled right after that.
But isn't he on a fishing trip right now?
Like I said, if he doesn't talk to me tomorrow, I'm firing the guy. And I'm going to start. The process isn't hard. We have all the documentation already. All we need is the notarized from the new contractor, which he'll do in 1 day, and we submit it to the city. They should have all their paperwork within probably 2 days, and now it's off to review. I don't know how long the review takes for a seal coat and a striping, but if it's in and out, then we're scheduling that following weekend.
Charlie?
About 7 days right now.
Charlie, we can impose a fine as of today.
You have the ability to impose a fine as of today, yes.
And if everything goes perfectly smoothly, by the next meeting or two, we can waive the fine or a portion of the fine.
Yes, you can. The big unknown factor is the rain, because they can't seal coat if it's wet
Correct.
and raining.
That is correct. My only thing, if you guys can just leniency on the fine, is because we're in the property management part. And if the other people see that we're opposing a fine now, it's going to be detrimental to us as a company. That's the only thing that I ask for, is if you guys could just, look, if it's not done in the next 60 days, fine me $1,000 a day. We'd have no problem with that. But I guarantee you it'll be done within the 60 days, hopefully within the 30 days.
You're being recorded.
Yeah.
That's fine. 1,000 to the owner, $1,000 a day. I'm just saying, I mean, you guys can oppose and do all that, but it's just gonna, the association is gonna have more of a headache to deal with than us just coming back in, 30 days or 60 days and saying, okay, you got it done, thank you, and we move on. I mean, we really are trying to do this. It's not something that we're avoiding, and the owner is not avoiding it. I get a phone call 10 times a day from him.
Okay, so I don't think we need any more information than we've got now, do we?
I have one more question. The checklist that you're looking for, is that something that he can submit electronically, or it has to be handwritten?
Electronically, but I'm willing to upload it for him.
Because I was gonna say,
No,
if your
that's-
contractor's on a boat,
So,
but he's got cell phone service, he can do it.
yeah, and believe me, you can ask Melissa how many times I've come in at, 4 or 3 o'clock and been like, hey, did he submit it? And she's like, yeah, but he didn't do this part. And I'm like, dude, hello. So, I mean, give me 60 days, guys. I promise, it will be done one way or another. If it's with this guy or with a new contractor,
Would
And
someone
all
like to make a
three-
motion?
And all 3 of the properties.
all
will be done.
62,000 square feet. will
Okay,
be
we're
done.
gonna vote on case 0882. 0887 and 80890.
But we should have three separate motions.
All right. Oh, and we've already started.
0882. Page 2.
Yeah,
And I think
I'll
it's,
go ahead and. What was that? Number 6?
yeah, we've already found him in non-compliance.
All right. Based on the testimony and evidence presented in case number 23-0882, I move that this board continues this matter until the Code Enforcement Board hearing on August 28th of 2024.
Is there a second?
That's 30 days. How about if we move it to
Well,
September 23rd and have him come back because we like to see him?
I will add that. That's what I wanted to do. So, all
Yeah,
right.
I'll come back. I'll see you guys. I like it.
All right.
So your motion
So I'll-
is changing
To September 25th of 2024 with the additional request of that they come to the board, Code Enforcement Board on August 28th of 2024 to give a status report.
Perfect.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. All right, 0887, 1499 Forest Hill Boulevard.
I'll do the same thing. Based on the testimony and evidence presented in case number 23-0887, I move that this board continues this matter until the Code Enforcement Board hearing on September 25th of 2024 with the additional condition that they appear in the next board meeting on August 28th, 2024 with a status report.
Second.
Further discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Based on the testimony and evidence presented in case number 23-0890, I move that the board continues this matter until the Code Enforcement Board hearing on September 25th of 2024 with the additional condition that he come and report to the next board meeting on August 28th of 2024 with the status report.
Second.
Less seconds. Further discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Is there anyone opposed? Motion carries.
And I'll tell you one thing, if I'm not done by the 23rd, I'll give you guys 1,000 hours of volunteer work.
Ooh,
That's all. So don't, hey, Melissa, don't be like trying not to sign that paper. Listen, I really appreciate everyone. You guys kind of gave me a little reprieve because the owner's like, if this gets a fine opposed, da, da, da. But I promise you, we'll have it done.
okay.
All right?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for appearing.
Back.
Oh, I'm just, before you go, Joe, just one thing, because from the last one, should we ask him to stay if another case is all in the same lot? Just throwing it
Yeah,
in there.
Joe, do you mind just staying just in case? Because we do have 1501 Forest Hill here. So just in case if she has any questions for your side of the property.
No problem.
Okay.
For sure.
Yeah, Jerry, thank you for that.
Dan, thanks.
Okay, so we're going to discuss case 23-0886, 1501 Forest Hill Boulevard.
That's correct.
Eric?
Yeah, so I've been in constant communication with one of the property owners. Last time when she spoke before the board, she had expressed that there was a heavy sprinkler leaking issue from the other side of the property. The flooding part seems to have subsided, but however, there's some holes, pretty big holes that were left that are causing issue on top of the school being built. So I'm gonna let the owner speak, and any questions you have, you can ask myself, her, or even Melissa.
Okay, ma'am, it's nice to see you again. If you would
Hello.
please identify yourself
Hi,
for the
Renee
record.
Monroe. Good evening, everybody. Same issue as before. We're waiting for the sprinkler to be fixed. It still hasn't been fixed. It's a big line underground that is cut. They've worked on it, but it's been stagnant since last month. Not much work has gone on. In their defense, the Montessori school has like completely uprooted the back of our building. and put in that big fire line. So I don't think they could have got in there and fixed that sprinkler line at the same time. But unfortunately, the Montessori school cut another line while they were doing this. They said they would fix it, but they didn't. So now we have two major large sprinkler lines that are broken. And like we talked about before, it floods the parking lot about 10,000 some gallons and causing damage to our lot. So until it's fixed, we're kind of in a hold pattern.
The Montessori school is what physical location?
They're on the.
No, I mean, the address.
Unfortunately, 1501.
Your
Forest Hill.
property.
Yeah.
That's your
We
property.
have the same, we're Suite 101, 102, 103. It's not our property. It's
Yeah, 1501 Forest Hill Boulevard. It's one building, but it's split up into two separate folio numbers. It's a unique property. They own half and the school owns the other half, but it's a conjoined building.
Who does it belong to?
Well, half of it belongs to one of the owners here, and then the school side belongs to another owner.
So why wouldn't we summon the other owner if we got sprinkler lines and is that other building just as much responsible for that sprinkler line?
So Joe
Joe?
actually wanted to speak on behalf of the sprinklers because he had some information he wanted to provide.
Okay,
So,
come on up.
okay.
Shut that. And we'll just-
If you all are okay with being up here together?
So Eric had given me a call last month, I believe. I don't know if it was a Thursday or a Friday. I think it was maybe you guys had a meeting last month. And at that time, he called me and said, hey, the tenants in 1501 are complaining about a broken sprinkler line, and that's what's doing the damage to their asphalt. We repaired that line that weekend. I did it myself. I have pictures of it. I have photos of it. They were going to be digging. I knew they were digging up the main line. So we roped it off and put caution around it, left it open for, 2 or 3 days to make sure that no water was running after that. I had the sprinkler system guy go over there and test all the sprinklers. We even flagged all the sprinklers, the broken ones, and that was fixed 3 days later.
With all due respect, this is a picture from today. It's not fixed. This is the line right here. It's completely broken. It's completely open.
No, there is a broken line there that has no water coming out of it. So there's two main lines. There's two main lines that run through the system, and the two lines that have water, we have 8 stations there. No water comes out of those broken pipes. We're not going to repair a broken pipe that no water comes out of. And I'm the one that did it, and I know for sure that line. Another thing is a year ago and a half, we even talked to her about repairing her asphalt and the holes there. Never once did she mention that there was a broken water line that was causing those, and those holes have been exactly the same since. She is part of the non-association that doesn't want to get involved in the association there to repair everything. So that's where we're at on that matter.
Actually, we're our own association, and actually there's satellite pictures that show that the craters are huge. And I sent your boss, the owner, a certified letter about this. We didn't realize that it was because it goes on at 2 o'clock in the morning and floods the parking lot. Nobody's there at 2 o'clock in the morning. Once we found out, I sent a letter to your boss, to the owner, and I got no response. But these pictures are as of today. That hole is still open.
Correct, it is open because they're still working in that main line area right there. But I can go there and videotape right now with my wife and turn on all 8 of those, and there's no water coming out of those broken pipes.
So what's the purpose of the hole that's open?
Because they're repairing, they dug bigger holes.
Who does?
The Montessori school.
So this is your hole before they dug those holes.
I know that is, and I knew that they were digging the bigger holes, so I'm not going to fill that up. Is there a contractor here? You are. So you've done water line, right? 1-inch water lines. You don't fill the hole in the day after. You let the system run and you allow it to build pressure and make sure that the seal that you have on there is no longer leaking. So what was happening was a root had grown into that pipe, and it would come out like a small stream, and it did roll down into her driveway. But those holes have been there since 2 years ago when I first got to Florida.
What-
And we even talked about helping her, like repair him. You know, I said, hey, I could send some guys over to repair him. It was gonna be like $800. And she said, no.
No,
What-
I don't recall that conversation at all. And then I've taken serial pictures of this, and it's exactly the same as it was over the last month. I mean, I have date and time pictures.
Do you
It
have
hasn't-
water on it coming out?
You've turned off the water.
No,
It stopped
The
flooding.
sprinklers are still going.
I haven't seen your sprinklers go on, but the
Right.
hole is still there. The pipe is still broken. It's not repaired. And then there's another pipe broken at the Montessori school that is on your property right there. That also needs to be fixed.
Okay, can I try to interject?
Yeah.
Would it be possible for sometime during the day for you to turn the water on when you're there, and Eric is there?
Any day, time.
So
We can do
then,
it right now.
so then we all 12 of us will know if the water's coming out. I'm not saying it isn't, but if it is, where it is and where the situation stands. If we don't see the water coming out of the sprinkler because it's 2 o'clock in the morning, we don't know what's happening. You don't know where it is. But if Eric, you can meet with Eric to
Yeah.
turn it on, like, I don't know,
Yeah,
2 o'clock in the morning or something like that.
so I was just speaking.
No, I have a manual switch that I can actually turn on and put water straight through that line. I fixed it myself. Like I'm the one that dug the hole, brought the tree stump grinder out there. I fixed it myself. So I know 100% that has not leaked since Eric told me. And anytime Eric tells me about a property issue, within 24 to 48 hours, I'm there to fix it.
Okay, but let's, for this case here, Eric, if you can get with,
Yeah, I
two
just spoke
owners.
with Melissa.
Melissa,
If the two property representatives are available tomorrow, me and Melissa will go out there. We'll do a full walkthrough. We'll check everything. I'll have it recorded on body camera, and we can give you a full report on this during the next code board meeting.
Will that work for you?
I'm in surgery, so probably not tomorrow, but Friday I'm there all day pretty much.
Are you
But
good Friday?
the water has to run for several
Okay.
hours for it to bubble because it's like 3 feet down for it to come all the way up for us to see.
Is it exposed?
It's exposed now, but there's another pipe that I just showed you that is also broken now because the Montessori school, you guys were there, you saw them dig through it and they broke another pipe there.
In this.
Yeah.
In the same area that when we went out last time to see?
If the water is shut off, like she said, I shut the water off, then the damage is stopped.
We can't reseal our stripe until we're sure. We can't have all that wash away. Our contractor won't go ahead with it. So we're sure that there's no water coming
so
through.
it may be that you turn it on at 10 and then.
There's an
Eric and-
automatic switch. I could turn on all 8 systems
Okay,
and it's a big giant pump.
turn it on, let it run for an hour or so and have,
You don't even need an hour, sir.
Whatever.
I don't know, whatever. So that Eric and Melissa can come see what's leaking, where it's going.
Can you do that on Friday?
Friday, what time works?
Morning would be better for me. Well,
Anytime for me. I'm actually gonna go run and have my wife videotape it right now and turn it on. So, cause I know I'm the one that repaired it.
So Melissa and Eric, what time
Yeah.
can you go on Friday?
We can go, I work 8 AM to 4 PM.
I do too. So whatever.
So it sounds like, ma'am, it's up to you what the time is.
Can we do like 11:30, 11:45?
It sounds like the earlier would be better, but if that's what you want, I mean, if we can do it right around 8 or 9 before the sun's fully up, that way we can see how much water is pooling.
I can't be sure that I'm gonna be there because I'm gonna get cold and I don't want to wait for me.
10:30?
You got a representative?
You're looking
So
at it.
when it's convenient
Yeah,
for both, and
Yeah.
if it's 11:30, you know,
11:30.
let's do what we
Okay.
can.
11:30.
Let's do what we can.
You all
to
get
to the
together
bottom.
and come up with a time on this coming Friday so that we can resolve this issue.
I'd like that.
Okay. So any further discussion here?
Just for the record, the repair that I did, I know it's sound. Now, if they've dug up something else where the monastery has broken a line, then we need to make sure that the minutes understand that.
Well, Eric and Melissa,
They'll be there.
they'll be there, so that all needs to be,
Yeah.
my question is, and once you guys go there,
My hole is to the, if you're looking at the tree in my parking lot, my hole is to the left. That's the one that Eric called me and said, Joe, you got a sprinkler line. I went out there, within 10 seconds, the water started coming out. So I knew there was a broken pipe in there, and I knew it was a 1-inch, it had to be a big 1-inch line. Shut the water off. The next day we dug it up, rotor tiller, got it fixed. That has not been leaking. Now, I can't say anything about on the right side of the tree where they're digging for the main line and the fire line for the building. They
But
put in
when
a
you guys-
6-inch line there.
right, when you guys go there to inspect and everything else, you'll be able to make a determination, okay, who it is and hey, who's responsible and all.
The owner of the Montessori school will be out there as well.
Yeah, I have the contractor's number there too. So I'll try to get in contact with him and have him meet us out there.
We got a plan.
There it is.
Okay. Would someone like to make a motion? A complicated motion?
Will this one not be in order to continue or?
Based upon testimony and evidence presented in case number 23-0886, I move this board continues the matter until the code enforcement board hearing on August 28, 2024.
Second.
Further discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Is there anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very much for trying to resolve this. Appreciate
Yeah,
it.
thank you.
Have
No,
a good evening.
you too.
You too.
Thank you, Joe, for staying in. You too. I appreciate it.
Yes. Yes. Okay, I believe the next case is under new cases 0241.
We'll go out on Friday and it's will be recorded.
Bottom of page 4.
Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Night.
Good night.
Hold
Look at it before I leave.
on 1 second, board members. Ma'am in the audience, which property are you here for?
She's just a visitor.
Oh, just a visitor? Okay, I just want to make sure she wasn't on the agenda.
0241, Eric, bottom of page 4.
Yes, sir. Give me 1 second. Good evening. I am Code Enforcement Officer Eric Richwagon, representing the town of Lake Clark Shores. This is case number 24-0241, site property, owner 8157 Pine Tree LLC, site property 8157 Pine Tree Lane, Lake Clark Shores, Florida, 33406.
Eric, do you have a picture for us?
Yeah, Emily's pulling up right now, and I've also got hard copies too. But, okay, there we go. The pictures are up and there's other ones. So a notice of violation was issued on 05/28/2024 under code section, under code section 113-2, business advertisement signage is not permitted. You can have a for sale sign, but this type of business advertisement is not permitted. The only time this is permitted, for an example, is if you're having a roof work done and they're advertising the roofing company, you can have that. But once the work is done, it has to be removed. This is a mortgage lending company. So in order to have this, it would require a permit, which a permit has not been pulled.
Would you issue a permit for that?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, so a notice of hearing was issued on 07/11/2024. As of today's date, the violation still exists. These photos were taken today. I have spoken to the property owners. There were 3 violations on this property. Emily, can you actually go to the next picture for me?
I only have 3 pictures.
Yeah, if you can go to, that one's good. If you go to the closer one.
The second one?
Yeah, please. So this property was overgrown pretty bad and it was mowed. And the neighbor that you see to the right of the property where the fence is, there was a bunch of construction debris that was left over that was removed. So they complied with the 2 violations. I spoke with them about the business signage, explained to them what they needed to do. So the owners were fully aware of what needed to be done. So based on that, my recommendation is to give them no more than 7 days to remove the signage. If not, a fine of $50 a day, could be imposed.
So you just said you'd like to give them 7 days,
7 days to have it fully removed because,
but the
They-
initial notice was at the end of May?
yeah, it was on 05/28/2024. They did comply with the other two violations. So I believe because they took care of those, to give them one more week to fully remove it.
Do you work on Saturday?
Yes, I do. Yeah, I work Tuesday through Saturday.
So you're working this Saturday?
Yes, I am.
I said we do it, have it done by
Well,
Saturday.
I don't understand if you told them there was a violation on May 28th,
Mhm.
why you want to extend that from
Well, they were
10.
issued a violation on 05/28, but they didn't, so obviously they don't live there because there's no house there anymore. The mail was sent to the residence. They did receive it. They gave me a call a few weeks ago and I explained everything. Upon speaking to them, they did get the entire property mowed. I don't know if the picture does it justice, but it is a pretty big piece of property. And they did remove a couple £1,000 worth of broken up concrete, and leftover privacy fencing for the construction company. So they were able to remove those two.
Did anyone reach out to Windsor,
The
the lending company?
that company is owned by the property, like one of the owners.
I'm
Eric,
ready to go. Okay, go ahead.
Excuse me,
oh, sorry.
I
Go
have
ahead.
to abstain, or I'm not sure how it works. I think I'm the one that reported it to Eric.
So you recuse
Before-
yourself.
Yes, recuse myself.
Beautiful, all right. Thank you for telling us.
Don't these people own multiple properties?
They own a
in
few,
Lake
yes.
Clark Shores?
Yes.
I got a hard time. I go by once in a while. I go to my son's house. And when this thing came on in May, I couldn't believe they didn't take it down right away. They've had 2 free months
Yeah.
of advertising. Now, it's beyond me that if they're gonna be good stewards in the town, that they shove it in our face. My opinion.
I'll do a motion.
Jerry, would you like to make a motion?
Hell, yeah. Based on the testimony and evidence presented in case number, I'm sorry, I guess I got it blocked here, 24-0241, I move that the board finds the respondent in violation of sections 113-2 of the Town Code of Ordinances. And respondent shall comply with the Town Code of Ordinances on or before, and I'm going to go with this Saturday's date, July 27th of 2024. If the response failed to comply with this order in a timely fashion, a fine in the amount not to exceed $250 per day may be imposed. A fine assessment hearing will be held on August 28th of 2024, if necessary. And you, second?
Wes seconds. Further discussion? Anybody?
And just for the record, the citation is for 1132 for the definition. This is an off-premise sign. And if you go to 1133 under prohibited signs, subsection 6, billboards and or off-premise signs are prohibited.
So should I change the section or should we?
I just wanted for the record to cross-reference the definition to
Okay,
the prohibited section.
Mhm.
Thank you,
I don't
Charlie.
think you need to change anything.
okay.
Hey, thank you.
Further discussion? You ready to vote?
Yes, sir.
All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Is there anyone opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Believe the next case is 0246, Ariel Moragas.
Yes, correct. Good evening, board members. I'm Code Enforcement Officer Eric Richwagon, representing the town of Lake Clark Shores. This is case number 24-0246. Site property owners identified by Ariel Moragas and Sandra Moragas. Site property is 6427 Travis Road, Lake Clark Shores, Florida, 334406. One second. So I spoke to the property owner of this. I'm going to actually ask if this case can be continued. The reason I'm asking for a continuance on this is this violation was issued on the day you can see all this activity. I spoke with the husband. The wife just called me last week. The husband unfortunately was diagnosed with rapid cancer and just died. So the family is in disarray. So I spoke to her. I explained to her the violation. I spoke to Melissa in the building department because all this needs is a after the fact permit. So she's going to get in contact with Melissa. They're going to do an over the counter permit. So I would ask for a continuance until next month so we can work with the property owner's wife.
What are we looking at here, Eric?
So this is a commercial shed that was installed. This was professionally installed by a company. The company told the owners that they had pulled the permit. They didn't pull the permit. I ran it by Melissa. And then when I brought it to the husband's attention, he said he was going to take care of it. And everything progressed. And obviously he was unable to take care of it due to health issues.
Did they place the shed in a place that can be approved?
We don't know. We don't know where it was placed.
The company that installed this, are they being reported? Because obviously, if they said, but I can't believe that they're
Yeah,
doing this.
I can't say, if you tell me to pull a permit and I'm a contractor and I don't do it, or I told you you don't need it, it's just he said, she said. We don't know if they even said that.
But how can they even do the job without a permit, right? I mean, they should know that and all the local ordinances. I'm thinking I mean, not only the homeowner, I get that but we have a company coming into our town and actually doing something that is unlawful. Their practice, they got to pull a permit. I mean, it's kind of obvious. You got a big old crane.
Are they required to pull a permit for the crane in the right of way?
No.
No.
But they would be required to install. I mean, if this is their business and they're installing sheds
They should know that they have to pull. A
every single time. So my question is not only the homeowner, we got to deal with the homeowner, but are we doing anything with the company, or does the building department report them to the state, or is this something because?
We don't do that. I mean, for something like this, I can 4 times fee them when they come in and pull the permit.
Okay.
But in this case, it's not construction related, so you don't have the same recourse with the DBPR
Correct.
as you do with a contractor.
Well,
Yeah, so I know when I spoke to the husband, Ariel, because this violation was issued on 6/5/2024. The day this was happening, I actually spoke with Mr. Ariel, and he said, "Oh, the company said they pulled the permit." He called me the very next day and said, "Hey, what's going on with it?" And I let him know. He said, "Well, I'm going to get it taken care of. Either I'm going to pull it myself or the company's going to do it." I didn't hear from him after that. And then, as I said, last week I heard from the wife and found out the news. So that's why I'm just asking for the continuance, just so we can try to work with the property owner's wife, because she didn't know anything about this. When I posted the notice of hearing on her door, she called me a few days after. The notice of hearing was issued on July 11, 2024. She called me 2 or 3 days after, and she wasn't even aware of the violation, but she said she's going to get it taken care of. She's just going through a lot.
All right, I'll do a motion if you guys want. You want more?
No, go ahead.
All right. This is, okay.
0246.
Yep. Based on the testimony and evidence presented in case number 24-0246, I move that the board finds the respondents in violation of sections 10-91 sub A of the Town Code of Ordinances. Respondents shall comply with the Town Code of Ordinances on or before August 25th or August 28th of 2024. If respondents fail to comply with this order in a timely fashion, a fine in the amount not to exceed $250 per day may be imposed. A fine assessment hearing will be held on August 28th of 2024.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Wes seconds. Further discussion?
I have a question, if you guys don't mind.
Oh, no, go ahead.
Melissa, do you guys allow the homeowner to pull an owner bill permit for this?
Yes, they can,
And they only need a survey to
correct,
locate where the structure's going?
correct,
Is there a tie down detail or anything that has to be submitted as well for this?
yes,
Okay. So then it's something that you could probably help them with?
correct.
Is there also, is a variance also needed if the shed is too close to the property line? Could that be a problem or an issue too?
It
Yes,
could.
Because I did drive by today and I saw where it was located and it looks very close to the neighbor's fence.
yeah, we don't know what the setbacks are, where they put it,
Yeah.
so,
It's considered an accessory structure, correct?
correct,
So the setbacks on there are a lot less than it would for a single family home or any type of dwelling unit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
But none of that would have happened had they pulled a permit.
That's absolutely.
So unfortunately, that owner has the brunt of it. They try to save a few bucks. I mean, it's just sad, but unfortunately, you can't just, easements, stuff like that. And they didn't pull permits. And I can't believe they dealt with the company that didn't do it. So
Okay, the motion's been moved and seconded.
Yeah.
Any further discussion?
Nope.
You ready to vote? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
I,
Is there anyone opposed? Motion carries. Okay, I think that takes us through all the cases.
I have a question. Was
Emily?
case number 24-0239 in compliance?
which one?
0239, it's 1621 Kierendis Road.
Which what
Danielle
page?
Whitaker.
What's your-
Page
Page 4.
Yes.
Eric said it's in compliance?
Yeah, it is.
It is in compliance?
Yeah, 1621 Corandis Road. Yeah, that one is in compliance. That was the one with the truck that was parked on the side without a tag, but it has a current valid tag.
Okay.
We'll move on to new business. A, authorized foreclosure of 7011 Hayden Road. Emily, would you like to introduce that?
Sure. So there's a lot of history for that property. As you can see on the memo that I wrote, this has been going on for, Charlie, Charlie knows a lot about it. I think it's been going on since the 1990s,
Yes,
probably.
it has.
Right now, there's 5 liens on the property. And the total is probably close to $500,000. The owner, James Barbie, passed away in March, and the property is homestead. And so the attorney for the estate reached out to the town to ask for a reduction, and they asked to be put on the council agenda for that, and they did not show up to the meeting. So the town council decided to not reduce the liens. And so also they authorized the foreclosure, but we later learned from the town attorney that this has to be authorized by the Code Enforcement Board. So this is why it's in front of you today.
So yes, we have an extended history of this property, which basically has led us to today.
It has been a nuisance for many years. Mr. Barbie was represented by the Legal Aid Society. We actually litigated this matter years ago, and he passed away, and the town would like to foreclose on the property. It is still homesteaded, and no estate file has been opened in the courthouse. We do know who at least some of the heirs are, and we will be reaching out to them in hopes that they will be willing to quitclaim the property to the town and avoid the need for the foreclosure litigation. But in order to proceed with the foreclosure, we already have the approval of the town council, but we need the approval of the code enforcement board. The state statute says that the code enforcement board has to authorize the foreclosure.
So as chair, I would ask that we entertain a motion to authorize the Lake Clark Shores Town Attorney to foreclose on the property located at 7011 Hayden Road.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded. Further discussion?
I do have a question, Charlie. If it's homestead property, does that have any effect on what can happen at the foreclosure?
Yes, it does. And that's why we are going to reach out to the brother and nephews who we believe are the heirs of the property and hopefully can negotiate a quitclaim deed. My understanding is, and we don't have anything in writing, my understanding is that because of the extensive amount of liens on the property, they are apparently going to just walk away from the property, which will then allow us to foreclose because we can argue that the homestead is extinguished. But it would be much easier if they would agree to quitclaim it.
Do we know where we are in the lien? How many liens? Are we first in some of the liens? Are we fourth?
I do not know the answer to that at this point.
Because then once we get this quick claim deed, then it would be what, under the town, be demolished, and then obviously put the town up for sale, and then that's when the liens would be taken care of, or when would the liens?
The liens would be extinguished by the town if the town acquires the property.
Okay.
And most likely the property would be demolished. It's my opinion that the property is most likely not habitable, but the building official has not been able to get access to the property to make that determination.
Further discussion? We have a motion.
And second.
You're ready to vote? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Is there anyone opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Next item of business would be new board member orientation presentation by now the current town attorney.
And Mr. Doney expressed his regret for not being here, but I think I mentioned to some of you that he is recovering from the flu, and he came into the office today and he was extremely tired. And I said, Bill, don't even try to go to the code enforcement board. I'll cover it for you. And he went home at about 3:00. And so that's why you have me this evening. Let me try briefly to give you just a little information about code enforcement boards. First of all, a code enforcement board is a quasi judicial board. You sit as, if you will, the judge in the case. Your decisions are to be based on what's defined as substantially competent testimony by those persons who appear before you, the code enforcement officer, the town staff, and property owners, neighbors, anyone else who has an interest in the matter. If a property owner is not satisfied with your order, which is entered after you've heard the testimony, the appeal is not to the town council. You are the final arbiter for the town. The appeal is to the circuit court. And it's not a trial de novo, it's a trial based on the evidence that was presented at your hearing. So the property owner doesn't get to present new testimony. They can only refute what testimony was presented and your decision based on that testimony. Because of that, the law discourages you to have any ex parte communications, any evidence gathering outside of the hearing itself. There are some exceptions. You have the ability to, as a resident of the town, to drive by and look at the property, to get an understanding of the situation from your driving by the property. If you do that, you are required by Florida law to disclose that information before you actually render a decision on the matter. If you have any communications regarding the code violation, either with the code enforcement officer or with the property owner or a neighbor, you're required to disclose that also. The property owner, either by themselves or if they're represented by an attorney, has the ability to cross-examine you on any evidence that you've gathered outside of the hearing, and to refute any testimony that you've gathered outside of the hearing. So my advice to you is not to discuss the matters and gather evidence on your own. You certainly have the ability to drive by the property and look at the property. I don't discourage that, but you need to disclose that and base your decisions on the testimony that is presented at the hearing, not testimony that you've received outside of the hearing. Additionally, well, that also then brings into the whole issue today of social media. You should not be discussing any cases on social media because that gives the opposing side the ability to challenge your actions and raise the issue of prejudice in the matter. So I would discourage any social media discussion on any cases that are going to be presented before you. You are,
or potentially,
yes, or potentially, yes. You are subject to the state sunshine law. That means you cannot discuss this matter with any other board member. You can discuss it with staff, but again, my recommendation is that you have the discussions during the code enforcement board meeting, not outside of the meeting. If you have a discussion with amongst yourselves outside of the meeting itself, that is a violation of the sunshine law, and any action that the board takes is void ab initio, void from the beginning. So a violation of the sunshine law actually prejudices the town's ability to take action on a property. So I encourage you to resist the temptation to discuss the matter with any other code board member. If you have a question that is of great significance, you do have the ability to talk to the code enforcement officer, but that has to be disclosed when you come to the hearing. Just as your visit to the site has to be disclosed. I'm just trying to think of key things because I don't want to keep you here all night. There's so much that goes into ethics and public records. All of the actions of the board are public records. The minutes of the meeting have to be kept. All of the orders have to be kept. If you impose a fine on the property, you have the ability to hear a request from the property owner to reduce or eliminate the fine until the lien is recorded. Once the lien is recorded, you no longer have the ability to waive or reduce the fine. That now becomes a liability or debt of the town and the town council is the only body that can waive or reduce the lien once the lien is recorded. But up until that, you have full jurisdiction and you can eliminate it, waive it, reduce it, and go forward accordingly. Are there any questions of anything we've discussed so far? Yes.
Social media, only because the residents report something, or they have something that Positivist hasn't, and I'll be honest, there was a situation that happened, and I actually sent it, to mayor, police, and Eric.
That's not a problem. You're simply transmitting something you saw on social media to the town.
Correct.
That's not a problem. What becomes a problem is if you start discussing the matter on the social media with other people in the town, because now you're presenting your opinion or your advice regarding a matter that's going to come before you or likely to come before you. And that indicates an issue of prejudice because you've already been discussing it on the social media. If you see a post on the social media and you simply forward that to the town, that is not a problem.
Okay. Yeah. No comment, but no
and,
comment. Yeah.
And in this sunshine law, you're allowed to have an opinion, but because this is quasi judicial, if you have any preconceived opinion about a matter before you come in here because you've read something on social media or you've talked to a neighbor, that has to be disclosed. And you simply have to say that you've had that conversation or you've read the article on social media. That in and of itself is not a problem, but if you start communicating on social media about the case, that then becomes a problem.
Okay.
Charlie, I have a question for you. So let's say that Jerry saw a post online and he forwarded it to us. Now we know that we can't take like an anonymous complaint. So who is making the complaint? Is it Jerry or it's the person that posted on social media?
Well, it's really not a complaint if they're simply bringing it to your attention. It's simply advising you of a matter that's on social media. So the town has the ability to investigate that on their own and without a complaint being filed. Just as if the code enforcement officer drives down the street and sees a violation, he can notify the property owner of the violation without anyone complaining about it. The file needs to indicate that, of course, the information came from social media, but I would not take the position that the person who forwarded that information is the complainant. They're just simply forwarding information to the town.
Okay.
Typically, it's the neighbor who's the complainant, but in the case of social media, you never know whether what you're reading or seeing is accurate or not, especially today with artificial intelligence where photographs can be doctored. So it's more a case of just providing information for the town to look into as opposed to somebody complaining about a matter.
Yeah, I would say Eric would probably testify that it's not unusual for me to ask him to look at a particular property that I noticed.
Yes. And when that happens, it should be disclosed, but you're not saying that it's a violation.
Right.
You're saying, take a look at this and see if there is an issue.
Right.
You certainly have that ability. Now, you don't want to become the town police. You don't want to drive around town looking for problems. But if you do see something, you do certainly have the ability to raise the issue.
But then we still have to.
You still have to disclose that you had that, correct. And that gives the opposing side the ability to then cross-examine to determine if you have any bias because of that. Rarely are the people represented by an attorney, but if they are, that attorney could then ask you questions regarding what your opinion is about what you saw. The key is to make your decision based on the testimony that's presented. But you don't become second-class citizens by sitting on this board. You still have the ability to go by and look at the property. And because that, a lot of times the picture is worth 1,000 words. You actually can see what the concern is, if there is a concern.
In general, we do business according to Robert's Rules of Order.
Correct. Robert's Rules of Order is not the law, but Robert's Rules of Order is the guide. So we use Robert's Rules of Order for motions and for the decor of the meeting, the decorum of the meeting. It's not in the statute that you're required to use Robert's Rules of Order, but it works very, very well. And it keeps the meeting running efficiently.
You guys have any? You must have some questions.
Let me tell you that you are required to fill out financial disclosure form number 1. You are required, are they required now to take the 4-hour ethics training? The council is, but I don't know if
No,
code board
I
is.
don't
I don't
think
think the
so.
code board is.
I think it was like an
No,
hour.
it's just
20
the
minutes.
one, the county one.
Oh, the county. Okay, yes.
Yeah.
The elected officials now have to take a 4-hour ethics course every year. I think that's overdone. I think it ought to be once per term, but the statute says once a year. You're not required to do that, but the hour course is actually very beneficial. It's good to have.
Charlie, I have a question. So Patricia earlier recused herself. Does she have to fill out Form 8B?
Yes, she does. In Florida, you don't get to abstain just because you don't want to vote on a matter. You're required to vote on every matter unless you have a conflict. And in the case that was mentioned, she was the complainant. So because of that, she rightfully should not vote on that matter, but she does have to fill out the form indicating that that's the reason she did not vote. Because that would indicate a prejudice in the matter as being the complainant. But you can't refuse to vote because you're friends with the neighbor and the neighbor might be upset with your decision. The law requires you to vote unless you have a conflict.
I thought the conflicts were.
It should inure to your personal gain, but if you're the complainant in the matter, that indicates a definite prejudice and therefore it's best to abstain.
What about if they're related in some way to the, there's a lot of people here in this town.
We'd have to look at the individual matters, but that could be a valid reason to abstain because of the fact that you're related to the person. In many cases, I've had to advise the town council that they still can vote, but they need to disclose what the particular issue is so that it's on the record. If it's a son or daughter or a spouse, it certainly can become problematic. If it's a distant relative that you don't really even know or interact with, the fact that you're related to them would not be a conflict. In some communities, everybody's somebody's cousin. in some of the small communities. Any other questions?
Melissa, I have a question. You were going to look up Peter Pan Transportation to see if they have a license in town.
They do have a license. We were discussing that today. They do have a business tax receipt. It's up to date. I know the big thing was all the cars out there.
Well, we do have an ordinance in town, I believe, that it's not permissible to have commercial vehicles in town. And I say commercial vehicles with business information on their vehicles. Isn't that correct?
Not completely.
No.
And we just redid that ordinance
Yes.
several months ago.
It's a yes and a no.
Yeah,
right?
it depends on the size of the vehicle, but you can,
Minivans.
yeah, so it's probably permissible.
Yeah, they are based on the type of vehicle. All those vehicles require a standard E-class license because we have a few other people in town. We had someone who's a plumber who has like one of those oversized vans, but it's still not deemed as a commercial vehicle, so they can still put their advertisement on there. As for being several vehicles, we have another property on Lake Clark Drive that I brought up to Dana because it's got 6 of the same vehicles. And then during the past weekend, there were several more vehicles there. However, we don't have any code in there that says you can't park on your lawn, and there's no limit to how many vehicles you can have.
But for commercial, even though I get it, if you're the owner of a business
Mm-hmm.
and we have people in our town council and they come home and it's one vehicle.
Yeah.
That's the vehicle they use. Got that. But I'm kind of, if somebody has like 3 or 4, and it's like they're using it as a parking lot when they should probably have a place of business and keep them all there
In a warehouse.
in a lock or key, like what's standard.
The article doesn't say.
Yeah, and that was an issue that was discussed and discussed and discussed by the council. They had a lot of issues regarding commercial vehicles. And they had a lot of input from the residents. And it took months for them to reach the final ordinance that they did. But right now, that's not prohibited.
That's so, because if you have multiple, I'm thinking then you're doing commercial business on your property. Because obviously your employees have to come there, pick up the vehicle. They're not all driving. Someone's coming there to pick them all up. So
Normally, a home-based business, you're not allowed to have that many vehicles.
Correct.
Exactly.
Yes.
And
But-
so these places, do they have a business tax receipt for a home-based business?
They do.
So it seems like they're in violation of at least the ability to have a home-based business if it requires they have all those vehicles.
How many vehicles are we talking about?
Up there, probably, Emily, would you say?
I think it's 2, maybe sometimes
3.
3, but
Oh.
sometimes they park it at the church too. There's across the street.
We can look into it and see if there's an issue with the code.
But this other address that Eric was talking about, I think they have about 8.
Yeah, it's 6 of the same white SUVs that are parked there, and then sometimes they have more vehicles.
And do they have a business tax receipt there?
They do
Mm-mm.
not.
But none of these vehicles have any commercial logoing on them. They're,
No.
So we don't know if, I mean, they're parked
they're
all
parked.
on the driveway and on their grass.
And there's nothing that says they cannot park on the grass?
No, not here.
No, our codes and ordinances, some of them
Updated.
could use some revamping.
Yeah, and that was discussed by the council. I had hoped that they would not allow parking on the grass, but it right now not prohibited in the code.
The only thing that I could do is if the vehicles are parking on the grass and kills the grass, then it becomes a
Right.
resodding, a bare spot issue. Now, if the vehicles the vehicles don't have a tag on them, if they have flat tires, broken windows, then it goes into the abandoned, unregistered, type situation. For the one that we're discussing for Lake Clark Drive, the vehicles are all backed in, so I can't just walk on the property and take a peek behind.
Right.
Because it'd be a violation of the rights. Yeah, I mean, I'm monitoring that one, the Peter Pan one, we're monitoring, we'll get back with more information on it. It's just the way the codes and ordinances are written. Sometimes, although we see that there could be an issue, it's hard to stick something when there's not a particular code for it.
But the problem is also now more people start seeing it. There's two things are one thing's gonna happen. There's gonna be more people doing that or thinking, hey, it's okay to do that. Sort of like what we ran into with all the trailers
Yeah.
and everything else. I think that's something, and maybe that's something that we should maybe ask the town council to maybe relook at again.
Isn't there sort of an umbrella catch-all for these types of nuisances?
Well, there is a public nuisance, but I mean, you can't deem just having multiple vehicles as a nuisance because during the investigation, the family could say, well, I have 10, 15 family members that came over for a party and that's why I have the vehicles, or I have
Yeah.
9
It's
family
24
members
hours.
living here.
Yeah, but it might be, hey, it's on Saturday or.
We can get with Eric and look at the situation and determine whether there's a section in the code or not, but there probably is not.
I searched, I
Yeah.
couldn't find any.
I'm not aware of one.
It's just that now, and again, it probably needs updating, but now that a lot of people, they work from home remotely, and it's all types of businesses now. So, but I got to believe if someone has, as you said, 8 vehicles or whatever, that means their employees are coming to their home. It's
Well,
not a
for-
home anymore. It's a place of business.
Well, for those ones, they're unmarked, and for the month and a half that it's been there, they haven't moved. So I don't know what the situation is. I know there was several other vehicles because I took a picture over the past weekend and sent it to Dana because it went from those 6 to being much more. But that might have been a gathering because those additional vehicles then left. But the primary, 5 to 6 white SUVs are consistently there.
Is it homesteaded or is it possibly
No, it's
being
homesteaded.
rented? Because we had issues like that with previously.
Yeah, no, it's homesteaded, so it's the actual owners who are there. It's not a rental.
Okay.
Because it doesn't show up on VRBO, it doesn't show up on Airbnb. I looked into it to see what was going on.
Or like a monthly. No, we had that one. I remember we had Pine Tree and they were literally,
Yeah.
every,
Did you check Sunbiz to see if they have any corporations?
I couldn't find anything, but then again, they could have it under a different address with a different LLC,
Yeah.
like the one with the Peter Pan van. They've had anywhere from 5 to 10 different LLCs and stuff on Sunbiz.
Any further discussion?
are we on,
Are we ready?
is this still new business or are we gonna do board comments?
Yeah, we're on board comments.
Okay. Only because I was gonna bring up something.
Go ahead.
We're talking about foreclosure and just to bring up the house that's on Westlake, I forget the address, but you know what I'm talking, the one that looks like the roof's about to cave in.
Blue tarp roof. Well, former blue tarp roof, yes.
Being that we're talking about, do you guys know what's going on with that or the bank? Or I'm just curious where we're at with that one because that one looks like it's coming down.
Can you give an update, Charlie? Do you remember what's going on?
I don't remember the details on that, but
Yeah, it's a foreclosure. There's 2 suits. There's the foreclosure suit, and then there was one about who owns the property, right?
is that the property that we're
Yeah,
talking about?
the property. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a dispute on the ownership of that property, and it is in foreclosure. But I don't have the details here with me, and I don't want to misspeak, so. But it is something that's on our radar.
Okay.
Yeah, we've had some people ask for lien reductions on the property.
Yes.
Eric, there is a house at the corner of Gregory.
Clark and Gregory,
and
White
Clark,
Tarp,
That's got the big tent.
White Tarp, yep. I spoke to the tenant, and I also spoke to the owner. The tenant reached out to me a week ago. They stated that they needed to clear out stuff from the garage and wanted to put up a temporary tent. I told them they could have it for no more than 7 days. I actually ran into the property owner, Gigi, today because she went over to town hall. I explained to her because she herself didn't know about it. So I advised her to let the tenant know that it can no longer be there and that a violation will be issued for it.
It's been there for several weeks.
Hasn't been there for several weeks, but it's been there for at least a week.
No,
They-
I've been out of town for 2 weeks and it was there before I left.
Mm.
So
Yeah, so that property was cited before because they were leaving trash out and stuff. But I'm in contact with the property owner, so they're going to be cited for it because it's been, I don't know how long you need to clear out a garage from a house you're renting, but the time's up for it, especially because we're getting closer and closer to peak hurricane season.
Anybody else? Anything?
Just one more thing. I don't even know, because obviously we had a big thing with our town and everything else, but trailers and stuff, are we kind of getting back to the old ways of things again when it comes to trailers and boats, and are we?
No, it's most of the ones that have been cited, they understand what's going on. There's a couple that have been cited that they will contact me and let me know that they're going to have the boat there for a day or two. Most of the new violations being issued are for new addresses that haven't been cited before. So anyone who hasn't been cited before, what I do is I usually send the violation, but I also send like a little information sheet. I give the new ordinance. So I put in there what's allowed and what's not allowed. So the information for the new people is getting out. There's some that if they're not moved, they'll be taken before the board. So no, we're staying on top of the boats, the trailers, and the RVs and the campers.
Anybody else? Okay, I believe that's the end of comments, suggestions, and updates. So the chair would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I second it.
Jerry,
Motion.
Jerry motions and Emily, or Debbie
Seconds.
seconds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you guys for joining us.
Welcome.
It's a learning curve, so.